So, talking to Joe, player for Gaimin Gladiators, formerly of Invictus and Giants, and of course, GG's coach, Sunan. And of course, you probably haven't heard of Sunan since since our audience is more international focused, but Sunan's been around the circuit since the very, very start. He was a Pro League player with script and actually almost made it to an APAC LAN back in the day. It didn't quite work out though, because yeah, well, we won't go into that. Anyways, Gaimin Gladiators qualified for Berlin in your first ever attempt, or second ever attempt, because like, obviously last stage was technically able, but second ever stage, it kind of looked like a Damwon Kia a fairy tale story almost at this point. If you look at the parallels, right? You guys get promoted. You look very good in tier 2, get promoted against the odds, and bam, second stage you're going to a major. Like, is that the same kind of thought in your team as well?
Okay, so can I start? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Anyone.
Oh, yeah. Basically, coming down into a big, really highest level of siege tournaments is really our aim and our target, since like the team joining the OPL Southeast Asian, like joining the first OPL, the very first OPL season. So for us, like be able to compete in this Apex South League is very dream came true for us in many ways. So yeah, we're feeling very grateful that we could make it at the first stage. But yeah, I mean, like the first stage results is not really good, but yeah, first stage is like school day every day for us, like in terms to train our mentality and in terms of strategies and many ways to read like the Apex South team play style, their fire power, and like we're trying to catch them in many ways. So yeah, we are prepared for stage 2 honestly. And back in like after stage 1, we have a roster change that obviously we need the roster change because we see that this team is already capable to challenge like the top 3 or top 4 for Apex South. But yeah, we need some small tweak or small improvements. Like we need a second IGL, so the team might work out. So yeah, the only option that really able to see back in stage 1 is only Joe, and maybe there's more that, but back again. Come back again, but we need someone that really have experience in this highest level of siege and experience a player that have been play with tier 1 teams for a long time. And yeah, we come down to Joe, and yeah, we are grateful to have Joe in stage 2 because many improvement that happened in stage 2. And yeah, like I'm not alone doing many stuff for this team because Joe is helping me out. Yeah.
Joe, anything to add to that, or pretty much that's it?
I'll say when I like first trialed with this team, I wasn't like expecting too much because I never really like watched them closely. And then actually I was like, wow, this actually team has insane potential, and everyone's like very motivated, and just the overall environment was very nice. So I was like, yeah, that's my only goal. It's like, let's get these boys to the major. And yeah, I'm happy I could do that. And yeah, you mentioned like Diamond Kia vibes. Honestly, yeah, I think it was one time we scrimmed them. It was their warm-up scrim, so it was before their APAC play day, and it was like night and day than them in like a normal scrim, and we were like, wow, so this is the true strength of Diamond Kia. And since then we're like, okay, we really have to like put down
them,
yeah, they're like our like you could say epic idols, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are Korean, so the idols part definitely fits.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe, who knows, depending on what happens in Berlin, maybe you guys are like on a one year clock behind Damwon Kia. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. But you know, speaking of like the rest of this GG roster, your former teammate, actually, Hysterics, I remember I was talking to him like last year in like December and like January when like the APAC qualifications were coming along, or like they're coming close, and he was like seriously bet on Renata, so like the last dance, because these guys look really good. And I was like, you're just saying that because, you know, they're Indonesian or whatever, right? I didn't really believe him. And then after that, they came in and obviously they beat everyone, so that I think, you know, that potential was very much visible for those who are, you know, unaware of where Gaimin Gladiators roster came from. is that the same thing that you saw as well? Like, you know, that while watching them outside, or was there like a different perception before you joined the team for the trial?
For me, it was a different perception because mainly I judge people based on like their comms and like their ability to teamwork. So like having played with like a few T2 players in the past because they were just recently tier
Yeah.
2, right? So I wasn't expecting that much, but and I was like, wow, these guys are actually like tier 1 standard, like their comms and their teamwork, how they don't just really like shut their mouth and play solo. So yeah, that's the main part I was impressed. Not really the gun skill, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think gun skill in APAC is almost like a given at this point.
Yeah.
You kind of
Yeah.
assume that everyone has a certain level of gun skill. Now, this is your second stage. Were you aiming for the major coming into this stage, or were you just like, as Sunan like implied earlier on, just make it to the top 4? Was like the major just like a bonus?
So actually, coming
yeah,
down to the major, we're honestly grateful that we could make it to the major, and yeah, we are happy that we can make it to the major. And our target right now is trying. Maybe we just want to have fun, obviously, but coming down after we are looking down the teams in the majors like the NA teams, EU teams, and Latin American teams, and obviously the IPAC North teams. Like we are pretty sure that we believe that we can somehow make some performance there in Berlin. So yeah, we are aiming to get out from the group stage to play in the main stage in playoffs, obviously. But yeah, I mean, like this is our first experience in terms of LAN, and yeah, LAN event is the very first opportunity for the boys, except for Joe maybe because Joe has ever been into LAN like multiple times. So, but I hope that Joe could give their perspective from his experience to the others. So coming down to the Berlin, we are not blind, but we are ready, and hopefully with every preparation that we have, we are coming down really hot to the Berlin. So yeah, we are studying every team, we are studying like every other region. So whatever the group came out later, so we are ready. So yeah, we are ready to challenge in the Berlin major.
Very cool. Yeah, and speaking of the experience that obviously, Joe, you have, you went to 2 majors with IG, correct? Mexico and Sweden. So, like, what were the main things? Technically, you actually went to more. You went to SI as the sub back when they were Giants, and I think you were there in Tokonami as well.
I was there in Tokonami.
Yeah, so you have been in like that team setup for a while, and then you obviously played at 2 majors. What did you learn particularly from playing at that level, seeing all those international teams and seeing those, more experienced players that now you are considered an experienced player, of course?
I think the first thing I experienced was in APAC because IG we had a pretty like structured style. We could do a lot of the things same, and it will work out because we would make like small changes, and it just works out in APAC. But I think the first thing I realized was you can't really do the same things in international. Literally the next round they could already adapt and know exactly what you're gonna do next. So I think that's the main part. Like you always have to be like actively thinking and thinking on your feet and always adapting on the fly and trying to outsmart them. I think it's like much more different on international.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe you did mention it last time as well when I talked to you. I believe pre-Sweden major. I think that was when I last talked to you. And another thing you mentioned in the interview back when you were with IG was that with IG it took you like one entire stage to feel like instead of like a 4+1, you were part of that 5, right? With GG, how smooth was that transition? Because not only did you come from like this team that you essentially were a part for 3 years, IG, you also were out of the playing like at the tier 1 level for 3 months. How easy was that transition in?
I think because other than that, they're all very welcoming and we're all the same like nation. We're all from the same nation. It was actually pretty easy. I think it only took like 2 weeks for us to like work together properly.
So not
and
like
since
IG.
then, I think it's just cultural differences. like how people talk, how people like joke around, especially
Mm.
how like they treat each other, like just that small things. So I think it was mainly cultural differences. So that's why it was like much easier because it's like a more familiar like environment, and they were all very welcoming as well. So
Yeah,
that's like the
that's
main
fair.
part.
Now, of course, you have been in this team for a long time, and obviously, Sunan, you're the coach. So, two of you, I guess, are like the utmost authorities, it seems. So I'm going to ask you very straightforward. What is wrong with this team? Nothing. It can't be perfect. So what is wrong? What are the weaknesses?
So if I could say like a few words, um, maybe some small weakness in this team in terms of many things is the experience, and
Yeah.
of course the second one is the mentality. But since throughout the stage one, we are right now in stage two, everything that we are experiencing and everything that we have from stage one to stage two, we could fix that small mistakes one by one, little by little. Most of it are the mentality issue. So coming up to stage two, all the players are more chill, more relaxed in terms of facing a game day, and of course in streams or in any practice session that they have, they already enjoy it very much, so there is no pressure at all. And yeah, probably the main thing, the weakness are right now, so it's only experience. Like we need more time, we need more, yeah, we need more, like we need to experience more like siege, like EU siege, maybe like any siege, like every playstyle that siege already have in the different region that we haven't faced each other. So being an APAC team, especially Southeast Asia team, we only face like Elevate, Direwolves, like those teams have only the same playstyle. So if somehow we are managed to maybe face North American teams or European teams that uh, maybe somehow we are not ready, we are not prepared, they could catch us off guard because yeah, the lack of experience. But that is the thing that we are need to prepare for coming down to the Berlin major, especially.
So how do you prepare for that kind of stuff? Obviously, you can't buy time, but
Yep.
Berlin's coming. So what are like the tricks, I guess, that you use to try and squeeze that in?
So we are trying to prepare as soon as possible. We are trying to book our flights early than the others, so we could manage to boot camp on Berlin as soon as we
Ah.
arrive, like maybe a week earlier than the schedule by the Ubisoft. So yeah, we are trying to check every playstyle that European have. Like we need to book scrims with the European teams as well, and yeah, hopefully we could scrims tier one from the UL as well
Yeah.
in Berlin. So yeah, we just trying to need times and need very much like test a stress test for our teams. Like if we're facing like Latin American teams, EU League, UL or any teams, yeah, we just want to see that our maximum potential with them, and yeah, maybe from that, maybe from the screens, from the practice, we could find if any mistake that we have, we can fix that. So yeah, the first improvement will start from that.
Cool. And of course, gaming is an NA org. So any chance of you
Mhm.
guys getting NA boot camps maybe soon or in the future?
Uh, I I didn't see any of that coming, but yeah, obviously Gaming Gladiators been always a nice organization for us. They literally gave us like everything we need. They provide us like yeah, they provide us home. They literally managed to give us anything that we need. So in terms of like, I don't know if they're maybe somehow going to put us like bootcamp in NA or in anywhere as possible. I have no idea about that,
Right.
but yeah, we trust them, but because they are a very nice organization, and yeah, we are happy to represent them in Southeast Asia and also in APAC League.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are looking forward for it.
Cool. Now, Joe, you in particular, but also Sunan a little bit, your team essentially took revenge at this stage on a couple of their former teammates, right? So, first it started off with Hysteric and Speakeasy, and Speakeasy was your teammate, wasn't he, Sunan, for a little bit
Yeah,
on
yeah,
script?
from
Yeah.
Gosu, yeah, in script.
Yeah, and then of course on the final play day, it came down to the guy who essentially mentored you up until this
Yeah.
level and against Luna Metal, who is now coaching. I mean, how was that feeling? Like suddenly these guys that you have been friends with, that you've been competing maybe with a little bit here and there. Now it's like it's for real. Like it's for a massive thing like the Berlin Major.
Yeah, honestly, it never occurred to me until like a few days before the game. I'm like, wait, I'm actually gonna play against my team captain. When is
Yeah.
it? When is this ever gonna happen? So yeah, I was like, it felt like you could say like those typical like movies. This is where the important day is for like the main character or whatever. This kind
Yeah, yeah.
of yeah, felt kind of weird, I guess.
Any
Yeah,
nerfs maybe because of it? No.
No, not really. I guess you could say the nice game, no, because of the former teammates, but the IG game, I guess I was like overthinking a little bit because I was like, yeah, I gotta win these people, and then it came down to a overtime loss, but yeah, it was kind of my fault as well. If I
Yeah, I
just like
mean,
didn't really care and treated it like a normal game, I think we would have won.
you proved them wrong for dropping you after the SI qualifier performance, right? Sudan, what about
I
you? You
guess
know,
so, yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, first of all, fun fact that gaming main roster Kryptonite was IG. So
yeah,
every
yes, I
time
remember.
they face IG, they feel like it's the most scariest team in Southeast Asia in APEC region. But coming down and the last season of season 5, the Operation League,
Operationally, yeah,
yeah, that we face IG in the finals, like everything is changed. Like the whole thing has changed. Like they managed to overcome with any of that kryptonite thing. So yeah, I'm obviously happy for the team because they are now looking strong, straightforward because I mean they have the mentality to beat IG. And yeah, it's a very important experience to be able to compete with IG at the early stage. But yeah, coming down into a bigger picture like Apex South League, to be able to face IG again, and like in stage 2 we are more prepared than stage 1. As you can see, like
yeah.
stage 1 we are getting beaten like 7-1, and we are coming back stronger in stage 2 even though we are still losing in overtime. But yeah, for me to be to seeing those team like IG, and there's Speakeasy on that team. So Speakeasy is literally a star player for IG. Not
Yeah.
like he's the best player in Southeast Asia as well, in APEC region as well. So for me to be able to see him to be competing in this highest level of Siege, and have been traveling around in major and 16 invitational, is for me. I'm happy to see him, and yeah, it's
But happier
unfortunate
to
that
beat him.
yeah, I'm unfortunate that we have to face as an enemy right now, as a rival
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, we're going
But
down and
stage
we are
3, we
winning
are
soon.
signing Speakeasy. Hey.
Yeah,
No.
he still speak is able to speak Bahasa, so it's
Well,
it's
perfect.
not impossible. Yeah.
There we go. I mean, he was scouted by Parabellum. If you guys saw
Oh.
on Reddit, like Parabellum were deciding between him and Blaz.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they went with Blaz at the end of the
Because
day.
of NS, yeah.
Yeah, most likely.
Ah.
But wow. I mean, maybe you could have seen him otherwise. But okay,
Yeah.
coming back to you guys, of course. Going to the Berlin Major, NA is looking like by far the best region in the world.
Yeah.
Like the world champions can't even make it to 2 majors
Mm-hmm.
in a row. Charlotte Major, Dark 01, they can't even make it to Berlin, right? It's
Yeah.
looking absolutely insane. And then you have Brazil. W7M are like setting records in Brazil. NIP look to be back. FaZe are back. This is like an insane roster. How do you kind of like even approach playing teams from regions like NA and Brazil?
So obviously, a region like NA, they have like strong environment back on their South region, like North American teams. Like they're competing really hard. Even their scoreline is very much tight. Even from like the first place until like the eighth place,
Ninth,
is
yeah.
only it's only like different margin is little. So to be able to see them like competing in the major, I see them as a strong contender, of course, because they are more likely like having more experience than us.
Yeah.
We are the first ever team to compete in this Berlin major. So for us, this is all us. We take this as a learning stage. We take much experience as we could after this major, and probably if we could bring so much of performance, I hope so. yeah, maybe we just want to see what our team is capable of in the major. So to be able like facing Latin American teams and North American, even European teams, for us is a whole new experience. And yeah, we are looking forward for that. And as we see, maybe NA is the strongest region on the major because
Yeah.
yeah, coming back on on their league, they have a good environment. Like they have off like LAN event for every single play day, and I mean it's Latam is doing that as well right now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for both that of region have a step forward, I should say, because they are playing more like competitive region, more competitive than Southeast Asia, than
Yeah.
APAC North and South, and of course like even though more competitive than EU because EU is still playing like online environment,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's see what our team is capable of doing with facing a LATAM, NA and EU, of course in with APAC North.
Joe, obviously you have experience playing these teams. You played Brazilian teams at the height of Brazil's dominance last
Yeah.
year. Like in the team wise, how are you, I guess, planning like strategy and like mentality? What are you going to be doing like when seated in the middle of your the rest of your team?
I think mentality wise, we're just not gonna like care too much about the names on the scoreboard and just
Mm-hmm.
focus on our own game. I think the key here is to not like fall into their games and just like even though like we could say like our playstyle may not be as strong as them, we're just gonna focus on our own game and what we can improve. And I think for strats wise, yeah, we definitely are gonna watch them, and we can't do like okay, this setup like this defense setup will work for this side. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we have to do like okay, this team we need this kind of setup, that team we need that kind of setup.
Yeah.
Maybe a more structured team like NA, more aggressive team like Latam. I think we can't really be lazy and just like, hey, this setup's good enough. Let's just use this for against every team. I think that'll be a mistake. So I think that's the main thing we're gonna be preparing.
Fair enough. Now, of course, you guys are going to your international debut, so I fully expect you guys to make everyone forget who the hell Paper Rex are. So it's only going to be Gaimin Gladiators from now on. But yeah, thank you very much for talking to me, Joe and Sunan.
Thank you for
Yeah,
And I
having
thank you.
us.
can't wait to
Thank
see you
you.
guys play at Berlin. Bye.
Yeah,
Thank you.